This industry has demonized the term consciousness. I find it challenging that I can make music that's interesting and entertaining and makes you want to move and really moves you, while you have, respected people like, Complex.com did a thing where they said conscious rap is condescending and corny. And then they had a picture of me and Mos Def. That's why I fight against that being put in that box, because the people who strive to put me in that box, subconsciously or intentionally, are limiting the audience that can hear my music.
When Tupac passed, with him died the paradox of the ultimate hip-hop artist. Tupac could spit on a reporter, stomp out a gang member, and still lend lyrics that put him amongst the Malcolm X's and MLKs. He knew what was up, but never allowed his intelligence to disconnect him from the audience that wanted it kept short and sweet. He rarely used similes and metaphors, displayed very little wordplay, but the emotions in his voice ensured that you always paid attention. He viewed his fans as the hip-hop constituency and considered his immense sales as a testament that people could be liberated through music. Then, he passed away. After Pac, aggressive hip-hop continued to dominate. Even Nelly's first single was about street sweepers. DMX continued with the emotions, Will Smith filled the void in Hollywood, but no artist was able to touch the people the way that Tupac did socially. Instead, what followed was a breed of artists known as conscious or backpack rappers, possessing the power to alert listeners to causes far removed from their own. Conscious or backpack rap is more vital now than ever. And in the wake of the George Floyd case, we saw an influx of artists ranging from Lil Baby to Conway the Machine feeling compelled to act. However, as encouraging as these artists moving over into this lane was, the label conscious rapper typically isn't a thing an artist embraces.
I would like to see you with like Griselda. You know what I mean? Royce.
No, maybe that has been the problem, is that maybe I keep putting myself in this box where like you just expect that. And I don't like that, because I feel like I don't want to put in this box.
While artists such as Tupac and NWA could have been counted as political hip-hop, the pendulum has swung. And now, the feeling is that the average hip-hop listener doesn't want to be enlightened or educated, but entertained without context or content beyond what they're hearing. From bars about drug use, as well as the usual claims to be the best in the game, many believe that we've reached a point where lyrical substance is taboo in mainstream hip-hop. In fact, it's led to a real division within the culture as to the negative effects that being labeled a conscious rapper can have on your career. Some MCs, such as Immortal Technique, have objected to the term in favor of reality rap. But in the view of Black Star member and leading conscious MC Talib Kweli, he believes that both the press and the record companies have gone out of their way to stifle its popularity.
This industry has demonized the term consciousness. I find it challenging that I can make music that's interesting and entertaining and makes you want to move and really moves you, while you have, respected people like, Complex.com did a thing where they said conscious rap is condescending and corny. And then they had a picture of me and Mos Def. That's why I fight against that being put in that box, because the people who strive to put me in that box, subconsciously or intentionally, are limiting the audience that can hear my music.
In an interview with The Guardian, Immortal Technique, who is among the biggest activists in the culture today, said this: "It's more people who see the music I make as a threat to the status quo of hip-hop. They want us to just dance and sing and smile and pretend that the world is okay. They believe hip-hop is sheer entertainment. Entertainment can be used for many things, to inspire and educate, but also to pacify, to keep people stupid and preoccupied with things that aren't important." But for Common, who is arguably the most successful conscious rapper of his era, he believes that while he's proud to be placed with music's greats, the tagline can be a burden.
At the end of the day, man, it's like I'm an artist. Like, I don't label myself or limit myself, like, because at times, like through my career, I probably have fell victim to saying, okay, I'm a conscious artist, so maybe I shouldn't rap about this. In fact, me and No ID have had conversations in the studio. He'd be like, man, quit rapping like you've been to the White House, because I haven't been to the White House. He knows me. He know where I come from. Right. So with that being said, I think conscious sometimes can limit, if you don't really have a awareness about it, it can limit you from the way, you create. And I haven't let it limit me, so I can embrace it now.
Despite his success, Common knows that being expected to uphold this moral obligation to provide lyrical bulletins can lead you to typecasting yourself. And with that, it can also lead to a commercial ceiling. The dilemma that rappers face was accurately described by Jay-Z on the Black Album's Moment of Clarity. On what was originally intended as his retirement album, Hov explained why, on his come-up, he decided to minimize his engagement with conscious rap in order to maximize profits. F skill sold, truth be told, I probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I wanna rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil and I ain't been rhyming like common sense. Admitting that he couldn't afford to touch upon social issues until he'd already solidified himself, Jay's words ring true to this very day. as while there are exceptions to the rule in the form of artists such as Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and to a lesser extent Joey Badass, the validity of his statement can be seen in the numbers of those who've made it into a crucial part of their artistic package. Known to rhyme about everything from mental health to the ravages of drug addiction, Isaiah Rashad's long-awaited return, The House is Burning, still sold 41,000 records first week. Cut from the same cloth in which he can entertain in one breath and educate the next, Denzel Curry has a long way to go to be truly embraced by hip-hop. Positioning himself as the antidote to classist hip-hop, Saba has found a global fan base with his gritty bars about life in Chicago's deprived areas, but even still, his latest album, Few Good Things, barely did numbers on independent charts. Seen as a powerful ode to womankind, Rhapsody's Eve received similar plaudits. Not even a Cole feature could get it beyond number 76 on the Billboard charts. Meanwhile, the ceiling towards conscious hip-hop was such a point of frustration for No Name that she threatened retirement at numerous points. "I refuse to keep making music and putting it online for free for people who won't support me," she said in 2019. "If y'all don't want to leave the crib, I feel it. I don't want to dance on stage for white people." 4 years on from the release of the lauded Room 25, No Name has sparingly released new music, and, disillusioned with the industry, has warned that this might be it for her on the music front. Where conscious rappers of the past such as Mos Def, Queen Latifah, and Common had enough of a profile to transition into acting, it feels like for most conscious artists today, there's barriers to them even reaching the level of popularity where that'd be possible. In an industry that Mos Def believes has left him with PTSD, we now operate in an industry where moving outside the box of hip-hop's accepted topics can lead you down a lonely, uncertain path. And while Kendrick and Cole have been capable of sticking it out, not everyone has the conviction nor the courage to do so. An artist who's never once diluted his music for anyone, Lupe Fiasco suggested that when it comes to creating dumbed-down music over conscious rap, there's still ways in which you can make a positive impact once you step out of the studio.
Certain things you have to do for the sake of, you know, sending your little sisters to college. You know what I'm saying? Is that that's the greater good? You know, sometimes the greater good mean you gotta go through a lot of nonsense to get there. But I don't really look at the industry, you know, in those terms, just black and white, conscious in this or not. You know, everybody do their piece and do their part. A lot of the most that kind of ignorant music that people make sometimes, they can turn around, you know, amass a fortune off of that, then turn around and in one check, you know, right away the ills of their community that they grew up in. And
to Lupe's credit, he's right. With many artists who aren't seen as conscious still engaging in activism or philanthropy on a grassroots level. While he isn't renowned for his astute political observations, 21 Savage takes the proceeds from his cold, often deadly bars and gives back to his community with his annual It's a Back to School drive. Although he may be incarcerated now, the similarly bloodthirsty Pooh Shiesty had barely cemented himself as a star before he was giving out turkeys for Thanksgiving to those who were going hungry in his native Memphis. From their trippy imagery to the wooziness of their chopped and screwed beats that made their name, there are times when Harlem's ASAP mob could have been accused of glorifying drug use. However, their Always Strive and Prosper Foundation, which was set up after the tragic demise of ASAP Yams, is focused on delivering positive messages and proper information to adolescents and young adults about the dangers associated with carelessly mixing opiates and other potentially irresponsible drug use and abuse. Through these MCs, we see a new strain of activism coming to the fore. While none of them would be regarded as conscious rappers, it's evident that for them, they can't bury their heads in the sand and abandon their communities once they've made it out. In this instance, hip-hop's consciousness and conscience is coming through in different ways than ever before. And in the view of Dreamville's boss, this is manifesting in the music too.
You think that era of like conscious rap is supposed to be like against street rap or whatever? You feel like that's kind of old school and that kids don't think about it that way? Or do you think your fans think about it that way?
I would hope not. I mean, Kodak to me is a conscious rapper. He's a street rapper, but he got songs where you like, damn. Like, I feel exactly where he's coming from. I feel his struggles. A lot of young boy, NBA young boy, like, yeah, they're considered street rappers. Those dudes are conscious as hell if you're listening to some of the, like, the pain and they're putting in their records. Like, I ain't never been through what they've been through.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm getting it through them. I'm learning that through them.
Rather than striking it out alone, Baz's sentiments are mirrored by that of a legend in the game, Nas, who feels no need for a distinction or additional caveat to be added to his music. I've been called everything. Gangster rap, I've been called conscious rap, you know, everything. Whoever feels like calling it whatever they want to call it, that's on them. While defining yourself as conscious rap can be a difficult road to walk and can place a very real barrier on your success, what's becoming clear through the likes of Denzel Curry and Saba in that in the modern game in which the internet reigns supreme, your influence can still be felt even if the charts don't necessarily feel the impact as it should. But with a cult fan base still clamoring to hear insightful bars and some of the game's biggest stars giving back, the end result is not only a varied hip-hop landscape in which all ideas can thrive in their own ways, but one that is actively contributing to its communities where possible. And while we may never get another Tupac presiding over the mainstream, it's clear that even though the parameters have changed, the drive to enact change is still very much alive in all areas of hip-hop.